the Baltimore County House delegation. For record, I'm Delegate Bandari, presenting HB913, Board of Community College Trustee for Baltimore County Collective Bargaining Faculty. If enacted, this legislation would allow for all faculty members at the Community College of Baltimore County, CCBC, to enter into collective bargaining. As it stands, only certain employees have the right to enter into collective bargaining at CCBC. This bill would simply expand the scope of provisions to allow faculty to enter into it as well. Over the interim, I work with Dinesh Riley and Todd Reynolds from the American Federation of Teachers, Maryland, to come up with the framework for this legislation. And I would like to thank Dennis and AFT for their support. I also spoke with Dr. Chandra Kurtinaitis, president of CCBC, and she stated that she is not opposed to this legislation. The fight for faculty to enter into collective bargaining at CCBC has been going on for quite some time now. Some of the adjunct professors we spoke to mentioned that they have been fighting this battle for a decade at this point. As an educator and a union member myself, I know the importance of being able to enter into collective bargaining, and I believe we owe it to both the faculty and the CCBC institution to pass this legislation. I would like to thank all of those who have submitted their written testimony and those presenting oral testimony today, including Todd Reynolds, Chuck Cook, who is the political and legislative director for the AFL-CIO in Maryland and DC, and Dr. Kim Jensen, a professor and faculty member at CCBC, and many more. Thank you for your time, and I request a favorable report from the county delegation on House Bill 913.
Thank you, Delegate. And you have a number of folks signed up in support, so I'm going to go ahead and go through them. Mr. Todd Reynolds from AFT Maryland. Go ahead and unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes, sir.
I believe I'm muted. Can y'all hear me?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Good morning. Good morning, members of the Baltimore County House delegation. My name is Todd Reynolds. I'm the political coordinator for the American Federation of Teachers, Maryland. That's a state federation for a number of labor unions representing large groups of state employees, public school workers, higher education staff at both Southbury University, University of OMCS, University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science, and the Baltimore County Federation of Public Employees, and the Baltimore County Federation of Public Healthcare Nurses. Nationwide, AFT represents over 200,000 higher education workers, both staff and full-time faculty, universities and community colleges alike. AFT Maryland calls for a favorable report for HB 913, the bill that would grant the right of faculty at the Community College of Baltimore County to choose whether or not to engage in collective bargaining with the college administration. We're offering a small friendly amendment language to clarify the board has to create bargaining units for both full-time and part-time faculty. Briefly, the college already bargains with its staff, both AFSCME and CWA, and has had that in place for dozens of years. This bill is enabling language that gives faculty the right to choose whether or not they want to engage management to bargain an agreement covering the conditions of employment. The bill amendment brings the bill in line with what is already in place at numerous community colleges nationwide, and indeed is already true in Montgomery College right now in our state, by clarifying that bargaining units shall be created for both full-time and part-time faculty. Again, AFT Maryland calls for a favorable report for HB 913. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now we'll move to Mr. Chuck Cook from the Maryland State and DC AFL-CIO. Go ahead and unmute yourself, sir. You're ready to go.
Yeah, you can hear me now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the delegation. So sometimes I think that there's a need to do an education piece on collective bargaining rights, especially when it comes to public service or public sector employees. If you ever have a bill in front of you that's asking for collective bargaining rights, it's because the workers there currently do not enjoy the same rights that private sector workers do enjoy. which is the right to actually come together and vote for their own leadership, right? So under current law, the best way to think about this is for any collective bargaining bill that comes in front of the General Assembly for public sector workers, you currently have a set of workers who do not have the right, if they so choose, to come together, vote, and form a collective bargaining unit, right? They just don't have the right. This is an enabling piece of legislation only. And sometimes when I have conversations with folks, they think that these types of bills mandate a union, that's illegal. Put one up into place, that's illegal. What we're actually asking for in any of them, but especially here in CCBC, is may the members of the faculty just have the right to come together and hold a vote. They may choose not to. They may choose that they don't have enough people that want to do it, but they should at least have the right internally to have that conversation, that argument, and hold that vote, right? So I just want to read you real quick from Executive Order of President Biden. If you guys have seen our collective bargaining bills, we put this in every single one, because on January 22nd on the executive order, it says, quote, "It is also the policy of the United States to encourage union organizing and collective bargaining." All right. It is the policy of the United States to encourage union organizing and collective bargaining. And this bill doesn't even encourage it. We're not even reaching that bar. We're saying, let's just enable them to have the right to then hold a vote, right? So no matter where you are on the political spectrum, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, no matter where you are in the House delegation, ideologically, the point remains the same. We believe in the freedom to allow workers to make the decision on their own. The freedom for them to make the decision on their own. So we asked for a favorable report on HB 913 just to give them the right to have that own internal conversation and choose one way or the other. So with that, we ask respectfully to pass HB 913. And on a side note, outside of the scope of this, every single collective bargaining bill that comes in front of you, because it's the same exact concept. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee.
Thank you, sir. We'll move to Ms. Julie Lewis. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for your time. My name's Julie Lewis. I've been teaching at CCBC for 15 years. I'm the coordinator of the theater program. And first of all, I was really happy to hear at the beginning that the president of our college, Dr. Curtinitis, she is in favor of this. That is fantastic news. We have a great administration at CCBC, but administrations change. So having a seat at the table when major decisions are being made is really important for faculty. This isn't just an issue of collective bargaining in terms of salaries. That's actually, for most of my full-time colleagues, that's not our main concern. Our main concern is how what we do inside the classrooms affects students. And we know that better than anybody. And when policies and decisions are being made without faculty, then they're not getting direct input about how it's going to directly affect our students. So we do have a system of shared governance, but that where we have representatives, but that system is not binding at all. So we can suggest things to the administration, and often they're open to them because we have a good administration right now, but they're not binding. And just to echo what Mr. Cook just said, we're only asking that we have the opportunity to see if the majority of us even want to unionize. So it's not like it's going to be forced upon us. And just as a democratic principle, allowing people to have the opportunity to come together and have some worker solidarity and have a seat at the table in this decision making, I think is paramount. It's especially paramount at a public education institution where we espouse values of democracy and of shared governance. And finally, this bill would also give our part-time adjunct faculty some say as well. And that is a very pressing issue. I don't know how familiar you all are with just the current state of higher education, but 70% of classes at universities and colleges are being taught by itinerant faculty. They're being taught by adjunct faculty who have no job security, no health benefits, don't know if their schedules are going to get changed last minute, are making below poverty wages to teach these classes. This is not indicative to just CCPC.
To Delegate Young.